Hey everybody, David here for another Whiskey Wednesday. Really excited about this one. I have Jaz'min Weaver, the national brand ambassador for Bardstown, one of my favorite brands. I remember the first time I went out there, we drove through a cornfield. I had no idea where we were going, and then this beautiful distillery just pops up. It's all this glass front. It looks very, very modern. I was so excited. They have a fantastic restaurant there, and it was very young. It was 2 years old, I believe, whenever I first tried this stuff, and they've since grown into this behemoth. They make whiskey for other people. They're very experimental, and they do a lot of fun stuff that we're going to talk about today. So, Jaz'min?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me here, and I love in the introduction that you hit on some of the things that we really pride ourselves on. So Bardstown has been around since 2016, and while we're the new kid on the block on the bourbon trail, we like to call ourselves the modern bourbon experience. So thanks for noticing.
Yeah.
Another huge
I think I was out there 2019, I believe.
Oh, okay,
So,
yeah. So we were fresh then.
Yeah.
It was only in 2018 that we opened up to the public and we started letting people do tours and come to the restaurant, which I highly recommend. If you were ever in Bardstown, Kentucky, check us out at The Source. We also have a downtown tasting room in Louisville on their historic Whiskey Row. But three of the things that we try really hard to be is collaborative, innovative, and transparent. So transparency works into our architecture, but also on the sides of our bottles. We're always going to tell you whether we made it or sourced it, how old it is, what the mash bill is. So we should dive right into our Kentucky Straight. So everything that we're tasting today is going to be our Origin series. Anytime you see Origin on a Bardstown label, it means that it's 6 years old and 100% estate distilled. So we are distilling it, barreling it, and bottling it on our own campus.
Get a little bit of green apple on the nose.
Totally. So being a Kentucky distillery, we knew we were going to have a Kentucky straight bourbon. We really wanted it to stand out in its category. So 36% rye in the mash bill. And I get a lot of ginger spice off of this pour. 96 proof.
That's a front palate spice. Finish is really smooth though. Just classic everyday drinker.
Yeah, absolutely. It's tons of classic Kentucky flavor going on there.
All right, next up, what do we got?
Next, we have our Origin Series Rye. So a super classic mash bill, 95.5. It's a mash bill you've had before, but you've never had it quite this way. I like to call this my rye for rye lovers and rye haters. So still 6 years old, still 96 proof, but it spends 6 months in infrared toasted cherry oak barrels that are custom made for us by the West Virginia Great Barrel Company. We're the only ones in the industry who get to use these infrared toasted zebra barrels.
Do you get like toasted marshmallow on the nose?
Actually, now that you say that, I do. There's always that hint of cherry for me.
Yeah, it's kind of on the back and it's subtle.
And this is also, for me, a very botanical pour. Like, I get almost like a fresh cut grass or like a watermelon rind going on.
Yeah, it tastes almost, I get a little bit of dill note that you get on a rye as well.
Totally.
But there's a lot going on here. This would be fun to unpack with friends.
It's also, I think, a perfect pour for making a Manhattan because cherry is unique amongst fruit woods and that it does smell and taste a little bit like it's fruit, and those red fruit notes just get along so well with vermouth.
Now I want a Manhattan.
You're welcome. Next, this is my favorite in the lineup. So this is our Origin Series Bottled in Bond. I'm a sucker for a Bottled in Bond, but I'm also a sucker for a wheater. This is a super special bottle to us. First recipe that ever ran on our stills. Still 6 years old, 100 proof.
It's more like just a classic bourbon. It's bottled bond.
Totally.
That caramel.
I think a little baking spice.
Baking spice, yeah, just exactly what you would say
vanilla.
about a classic bourbon. This would be also a great everyday drinker. Like I said, it would stand up it would be great in an old fashioned.
Totally.
Also just on a rock. So
another little fun fact about this bottle is The mash bill, 68% corn, 20% wheat, 12% malted barley, is the dream mash bill of our master distiller, Steve Nally. That name sounds familiar. It's because 53 years in the bourbon biz.
It's been around, right?
Yeah, many of those at Maker's Mark, known as the Wheat King of Kentucky. But at Maker's, he had to follow the Samuel's recipe, and then at Wyoming Whiskey, he didn't have full control over how old the age statements were going to be. So Bardstown was kind of the first time that he was given carte blanche to say, hey, like, whatever you want to create, we're 100% behind you. And this was the mash bill that he was like, never in my career have I made it, and I'm excited to. And I think that's exciting for us to be like new and modern, but then to have somebody who has so much history in the bourbon world doing something for the first time with us.
This is a very soft mouthfeel. This is dangerous.
Right? I love it neat. I also love it in cocktails. Like, it makes a sturdy little paper plane.
Yeah, delicious.
I wasn't dumping that one.
You don't have to. It's like very nutty flavor on the mouth, on the palate.
Then this, another high proof wheater in the portfolio, 106 proof, still 6 years old, 53% corn, 39% wheat, 8% malted barley. I think a really wonderful demonstration of how different palates and opinions create different flavors. This one is by our head distiller, Nick Smith. I find this to be like lighter, brighter, sharper.
Trying to think. This is more, I get some stone fruit on this one.
Totally.
Also, they're all fantastic. You guys do a great job. Thank you so much for coming down.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
Yeah, and you know, if you haven't tried these before, it's never too late. So these will all be on our shelves whenever you want to come down. We usually have them on sale. So yeah, come on down to Argonaut. Thank you for joining us today, and cheers.
Cheers.